In this video, I'll be talking about understanding different services of Azure DevOps service. Azure DevOps service has following services: Azure boards, Azure pipelines, Azure repos, Azure test plans, Azure artifacts, and extension marketplace. We have already discussed about this in our first video, and we also saw in our last video about the Azure boards, pipelines, and repos and stuff, but we have not really discussed a deep insight what these are really dealing with. Azure boards is everything you need to track work with Agile, Scrum, or Kanban process for creating backlogs, sprints, and assigning work among team members. This is one place which helps everyone in team to plan getting job done. So this is where most of the companies spend their time while planning for the work that is going to happen within among the team for developing a software that we are going to be working with. So this is where you're going to create the work item where we will be creating different kinds of planning stuffs, like what is the things that is going to be coming up for this particular epic, and then what are the different features that we're going to be adding within this particular epic, and then what are the different stories that we'll be adding within this feature, and within stories we are going to be adding different kinds of tasks, which is going to be a bug or a task and something like that. So we're going to be doing all these different stuffs within this particular work items and stuff. Again, these are pretty much exactly related to these sprints and Kanban boards. And again, if you have a complete understanding of how the sprint actually works or the agile process actually works within your company, you can easily relate these stuffs with the discussion that we are doing right now. So the board is something which is very, very handy while creating a planning sessions, where it is going to give you a higher level of what the particular story is actually doing. So you can see within the story, you can see the number of bugs which is assigned for this particular story, or number of tasks which is available within this particular story, and what are the steps which has to be done within the story, and are we gonna have this particular story as an active story, or is that story is already done, and things of that nature. You can also see the exact same thing for the epic and the feature level if you're gonna search that. Again, we'll be discussing about that in our next video. So this is how we'll be doing all these steps within the board. And the next thing is the backlog. So backlog is the place where we'll be dealing with the different kinds of tasks in a hierarchical manner. So as you can see that it has an epic. Within epic we have feature, and within feature we have user stories, and then user stories we have number of tasks. So this is the place within the backlog item. You can have any number of backlog items within your backlogs, and you can assign these backlog items for any number of sprints that you have got. So as you can see, I have two sprints, like Sprint Florida and Sprint New York, where within the Sprint Florida, I'm assigning the stories, and also I'm assigning the task and a bug for the current sprint. And you can see that there are like 9 working days for the current sprint, and I have assigned task for this. And you can also plan a sprint using the sprint tab, which we'll be discussing next. And then we also can create the capacity, and you can also see the velocity and all those stuff within this particular backlogs and the sprints. And you can also discuss the effort and how many efforts will it take and stuff. And finally, sprints. So sprints is the place where we see all the different kinds of tasks which has been assigned to team member, and we also see the capacity, and also we'll plan the sprint based upon the capacity we have and the velocity we have got, and what is the story points and stuff. And then we'll be taking the backlog item, and then we'll be discussing about that in this particular stuff. So this is also very, very interesting to see that we can see the number of tasks is being taken and has been started for this particular sprint to start working with it. And the queries is very, very simple. All you're going to do is a search within the query, and you can see what is assigned to me, or what are the different bugs available and things of the nature. It's pretty much like a search feature available for the boards. So these are the different kinds of features which is available within boards service of Azure. So let's quickly see everything in action in our next video and understand how things work.